Hi, I'm Eric from Stinger Electronics. Today we're going to walk you through how to install the Stinger HEIGH10 10-inch infotainment system into this 2006 Toyota Tacoma. Whether you're the casual driver looking to add Android Auto or CarPlay, or you're an audiophile looking for the best sound quality system for your truck, the Stinger HEIGH10 is packed with tons of features in a beautiful, sleek, modern design. Today we're going to be working in this 2006 Toyota Tacoma. Once we're done our installation, the driving experience is going to be completely transformed. We're going to have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, dual USB ports, enough power to power the entire system in the truck, RCA outputs for system expandability if you want to add aftermarket amplifiers, and 4 camera inputs. Before we get started, let's review what you'll need. The Stinger Tacoma infotainment kit includes HEIGH10 10-inch infotainment system, Tacoma dash kit, wiring harnesses, and dual USB port. We recommend having these tools handy to complete the install. Plastic pry tool, 10mm socket with ratchet and extension, wire strippers, crimpers, crimp caps, and zip ties. The first step is disassembly. We're going to begin by removing the climate control panel. So grab your plastic pry tool and carefully insert it at the bottom of the climate control panel. Once you release the clips, you can pull the climate control panel straight out of the dash and disconnect the 2 harnesses that connect it to the vehicle. Now we have access to the 4 10mm bolts that secure the radio into the dash. So grab a ratchet and extension or a drill and remove those 10mm bolts. With those 4 bolts removed, now it's just a few clips around the edge of the radio securing it into the dash. Reach under the radio and pull straight out toward you to remove the radio from the dash. Now you can disconnect the antenna and all the harnesses that are plugged in. And that's it for vehicle disassembly, so now let's head over to the bench. The next step is to make our wiring connections between the harnesses that are included with our kit. We're going to connect the HEIGH10 harness to the radio module harnesses. When making these connections, there's 2 ways you can connect these wires together. You can use crimp caps, which is a standard way, very easy to do. Simply strip the wires, connect the 2 wires together, and twist, slide on the crimp cap, and crimp using the crimpers. That provides a good, solid connection. The alternative is taking the wire and using solder to melt the wires together, and then insulating that connection using heat shrink. I'm going to show you that method now. Begin by stripping the wires. Place your heat shrink tubing over one of the wires. Cross the wires and twist. With your wires connected and overlapping, you can now apply the solder using the soldering iron. And then when soldering, we want to heat the wire and touch the solder to the wire. Once your connection is well soldered, you can slide down the heat shrink. Then using a heat gun, shrink the heat shrink. Both of these connection types are acceptable. Choose whichever one you like the best, and repeat the process for the rest of the wires. Before we start assembling our dash kit, we're going to remove the factory hazard switch and clock from the factory radio so that we can clip that into the dash kit. So we're going to take a flathead screwdriver and pushing in on the hazard switch area, put your screwdriver down between the edge of the plastic and this control panel here. Kind of wedge your screwdriver in there just to release the tabs a bit. That allows you to remove this piece so it can be put into our dash kit. Now we're ready to modify our main kit plastic. This kit is set up to accept a single DIN or double DIN, so we need to snip here and here to remove this piece of plastic. The side brackets also need to be slightly modified. We need to remove this back tab from both side brackets. Now the brackets will clip inside the main kit plastic, like this. We have this little oval piece that needs to be inserted. It says insert this way for double DIN or this way for single DIN. We're going to choose the double DIN orientation, and that just clips in down here. Trim ring goes on the front of the kit, snaps into place. Now we can take the factory hazard switch and install this into our dash kit.
slips down here in the bottom. One of your side brackets may come off when you slide this piece in. Simply reattach the bracket if it does. Now we can take our HEIGH10 brain and our brackets and assemble this into a double-DIN radio that we can install into our dash kit. So we'll take this plastic bracket, and this metal L bracket has 2 notches in the top that line with these rails, and now you can install 2 screws here and here. Now the brain's going to slide into this bracket that you've created. You have 2 screw holes that line up here at the front of the brain. Install 2 screws to secure it into place. Now we've essentially created a standard double-DIN chassis that we can mount into our dash kit. With the HEIGH10 double-DIN brain installed into the dash kit, we can now go grab the display and the mounting bracket that's going to attach it to the radio. We have our HEIGH10 10-inch screen and our mounting bracket and some screws. This bracket can be installed flat or on an angle. We're going to install it flat. So we're going to go ahead and put these set screws in the bottom and thread these in. Now in this truck we have a lot of room above the factory radio on the dash, so we're going to mount the bracket low on the display. This is going to raise the HEIGH10 display up in the vehicle. Now with the mounting bracket attached to the display, this can be snapped onto the HEIGH10 brain in the vehicle.
Now we're ready to go ahead and start installing our HEIGH10 kit into our Tacoma. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to replace one of these factory 12-volt cigarette lighter ports with our dual USB extension. The HEIGH10 has 2 USB ports on the back for Android Auto, CarPlay, and music playback from a thumb drive. So we're going to remove the factory 12-volt lighter, run the extension cord up to where we're going to plug in the HEIGH10. Removing the metal sleeve from the 12-volt lighter plug and disconnect from the back. And allows you to remove the plastic sleeve inside the dash as well. Now take the dual USBs and route those through the opening up to where you're going to mount the HEIGH10 in the dash. Your dual USB includes 2 locking rings, so thread those onto the USB cables and spin them tight to lock the USB port into the dash. The 10-inch HEIGH10 screen has a microphone built in, but your kit also includes an external optional microphone that you can mount in the vehicle. It comes with 3 different mounts. We like the large mount for this truck. If you're going to install the optional microphone, take your pry tool, carefully pull the headliner down, and insert the clip above the headliner. That's in a great spot to aim at the driver. Now we're going to run the wire down the side, down the A-pillar by the weather stripping. When we get down to the kick panel, we're going to pause for just a second. We're going to plug in our OBD2 connector, then we're going to run the microphone lead and the OBD2 connector up through the dash together. Now we're ready to go ahead and plug in our OBD2 harness. This is going to connect to the OBD2 connector and give us the 2 CAN bus wires we need for the HEIGH10. Our OBD2 harness also has power and ground wires, which we don't need for this installation. So to make sure that the positive doesn't come in contact with ground, we're going to snip it and put a crimp cap on to insulate it. Now we can plug this into our OBD2 connector and route the microphone wire and this harness up to the dash. Now we can take our dash snake and run this through the dash, and we're going to use this to pull up our OBD2 wire and microphone wire to where we're going to mount the HEIGH10. Now we're going to mount our GPS antenna inside the dash. Ideally, this will stick to a metal surface. Right inside the dash, there's an air vent with just plastic right above it, so there's no metal obstructing it. So we're going to slide this right above the air vent, between the air vent and the dash, right there. Take the excess cable and set it inside the dash, so this can be plugged into the back of the HEIGH10. Before we go grab our HEIGH10 kit and install it into the dash, we're going to make the connections for our radio replacement module to the vehicle. The only programming you need to do on this radio replacement module is to turn all the dip switches off and turn on dip switch number 3. That'll be in the down position like that. That's going to make sure that this talks to your HEIGH10 radio. Now we can plug in all the connectors that come with the radio replacement module. The connector that has all of your speaker colored wires, the white, green, gray, and purple wires, has two locations it can plug into the module, the non-amplified port or the amplified port. Plug into the correct application for your vehicle. If you plug into the wrong port and the audio doesn't sound great, just move it over to the other port. Everything will be fine. Connect to power plug. Now we're ready to connect this into the vehicle. Our OBD2 harness does connect here, so separate this connection. And take the OBD2 harness that we ran through the dash and plug this into our harness. Now connect these connectors that match the vehicle into the truck. This particular radio replacement module was designed to work with many different vehicles, so there's a few plugs that you won't use for your truck. Match up the ones that match and leave the other ones unconnected. Now we're going to start connecting the HEIGH10 harnesses into the back of the HEIGH10 brain. Taking our video cables, plugging these in here, routing those through the front of the kit so they can attach to the display. The rest of the wires are just going to connect from the car into the back of the HEIGH10. Now we'll take the radio replacement module and all the harnesses and tuck those inside the dash so that we can fit the HEIGH10 in the dash. Now with the kit in place, we're going to go ahead and grab the HEIGH10 screen, temporarily mount it, turn the truck on and make sure everything works. Once we know everything works, we'll take the screen off, finish installing the components, and we'll be done with our installation. With the screen in place, we're going to start the truck and make sure that everything works. All right, we've verified that everything on the HEIGH10 works, so now we're going to go ahead and remove the screen. We'll finish bolting the kit into place. Then we're going to reinstall the climate control panels, and then we'll reattach the screen. Reinstall the 4 10mm bolts that secure the bottom of the kit into the dash. You can take the factory climate control panel, reconnect the 2 connectors, and snap it into the dash. Now with the kit fully installed and the climate control panel back in place, we're ready to finally attach the screen. We are going to go ahead and use the optional accordion boot because it hides these 2 wires. There's a little tab on the top of your accordion boot that indicates the top. Line that up at the top of your bracket. Stretch the boot around the bottom of the tabs. We're going to align this bottom spring with this bottom bar and then lift up on the display to latch it onto the top bar. We've upgraded this Tacoma with Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, a built-in 4-channel 50-watt amplifier, and 4 video inputs. We hope you've enjoyed this installation video. Thanks for watching.